Well, the weekend has begun. So today we're just going to be reviewing, of course, three reviews from three different events. The first one is from H2O, Hardcore Hustle Organization, Matt Tremont's promotion with Torn to Shreds. We're going to have some interesting death matches, regular matches, however you want to call it. And I believe the H2O World Tag Team titles are on the line in a double Texas bull rope match. And I think the main event is going to be Matt Tremont, who is the founder of this promotion, will be facing Sawyer Brown in a no ropes barbed wire 200 light tubes death match. And then after that, we follow up with ICW No Holds Barred with Pitfighter 14, where we have, of course, every match are in fact a steel cage match. Two titles are on the line. We got the ETU Key in the West title, which features Masha Slamovich putting that title on the line against ICW founder Danny DeMonto. And of course, our newly crowned champion, Brandon Kirk, will put the ICW American Deathmatch World title on the line against Matt Tremont, someone that he has worked with in the past. I'm excited for that. And of course, we ended with, of course, for our final review, New Japan Strong with Nemesis. We're in week 2. We have 3 incredible matches that took place, featuring we have 2 singles matches and a trios match. And then, of course, we end the entire episode with some news updates to reveal certain things that have been going on with WWE and, of course, everything else that we know of. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, let's begin with H2O with Torn to Shreds. This is one of the final events that took place of the year 2022. I'm still trying to watch those events that I haven't finished yet. I will get to those. I think I'll be finishing those by the end of the next episode. So this one's a very interesting one. We have tons of interesting matches. Our first one, we have a three-way trios match. Our first team, we have FTW, consisting of Bruce Gray, uh, Mattis, and Tyler Rocks versus Duncan Allen, Jeff Cannon, and Tara Calloway versus Sean Henderson, Ryan Radix, and Jamie Lloyd. This was a very interesting matchup because anything was going out of chaotic. Even the match continued outside the ring because there's like 9 people and there's only one ref, and I think that's a little bit too much. But in the end, it was of course Duncan Allen who pinned Sean Anderson with after he applied a power bomb. 1, 2, 3. It was over. But as soon as the match was over, Jeff Cannon called everybody back into the ring. As you know, this date took place on the 26th of December, so why not? So everybody had to sing "We Wish You a Merry Christmas," which a very touching thing. And nobody attacked nobody after that. Now our next match is a title match. We have a hybrid match, the H2O hybrid title. This one was set upon about a while back with Tim Springs along with his unit known as the Marauders that invaded the promotion for no apparent reason. But instead of initial attack, they just sent the message straight to Gigi Everson, who became the newly crowned hybrid champion. So basically, he asked for this match, but the obvious question does ask that how was this going to go? Now, I don't know what's the purpose. Now, the Marauders are not originally from this neck of the woods. They're from the state of Maryland. H2O is a Jersey promotion. So that's the point of the whole thing. Now, initial thumb here, I thought that the Marauders were going to get themselves dirty to ensure that Tim Springs was going to win the match. No, somehow Gigi Everson was able to pull off a pin on Tim Springs, and one just like that. But he bolted out of there, knowing that it's going to be a numbers game. But the obvious now question does ask: is this the last we hear of them? We don't know, but we only can wait and see what happens in the next events taking place. Next up, we have Devantes taking on Declan Grant. I thought this match was pretty good. It was enjoyable, really fun, but it was, of course, Declan Grant with the TKO that finished Devantes, giving him the win. Next match, we got Lucky 13 taking on Austin Luke. Austin Luke has been making a name for himself. He ended this match by applying a move that we all know too well by two people. You guys know the GTS. That's right. This guy can also do the GTS, the same as CM Punk and Kenta. We're still waiting for that moment where Punk and Kenta will face each other. That's something we're waiting for. Now, our next match, we have a no holds barred match between Marcus Mathers and Danny Nemanto. Now, Marcus Mathers recently has stepped up his game to be involved in hardcore or death matches. That's always been something that he is now stepping up his game. Even Brandon Kirk gives his full support, knowing that this young kid who's never experienced these type of matches is now evolving to that. And I think he pulled off a great match, but it was the Monto that when he applied the Psycho Driver, it did not work the first time. So what he did, he tried the Avalanche Psycho Driver on top of the corner side and landing him on top of chairs and the door or whatever they had in the stock in the bottom to finish off the match. I have to say Marcus Mathers really impressed me. Even though he lost, he really stepped up his game. Now, our next match, we have a double hell, double Christmas tree tag team death match. We have Anthrax and Alex Stretch taking on Louis Jr. and his dad, Low Life Louis Ramos. I thought this match was pretty cool because in recent times we have seen Anthrax and Alex Stretch stepping up their game in death matches, but we have a father and son who are not going to let guys like them try to make havoc on them. But I have to say it showed a pretty good storyline between both father and son. But in the end, it was, of course, the Ramos that walked out as the victors when they pinned I think they pinned Anthrax 1, 2, 3. It was over. However, Louis Ramos thanked Alex Stretch and Anthrax for pushing his son farther than he could possibly imagine. I think they showed that he actually stepped up his game. Now, our next match, we have Darren Hardway taking on Brian Neal. Now, this is one of those matches where Darren Hardway is trying to make a point that he is the unstoppable one. But in this case, it was the Blue Psycho Knee by Brian Neal who picked up the win. I thought it was impressive. You guys know the Blue Psycho Knee is the same move that that Bryan Danielson does every single time in his matches. It was beautifully, but as soon as Brian Neal applied that, he had to bolt out of there, knowing that his cohorts were going to be there to get retaliation for what took place. Now, our next match, it was a Taipei Fist Pans of Glass dethrone. We have Jimmy Lyons along with he was supposed to have a match with some dude, but he felt disappointed and pissed off that the opponent he was supposed to be faced was not there. But he asked someone if he's willing to step up to take him on, and he picked up with Declan Grant, who just recently had a good match earlier. However, the president of those morons, Darren Hardway's buddy, said that he does not condone these type of matches, so he was going to put an end to it. But luckily, Sean Henderson, should I say, he actually shows up and gives that moron a wedgie, sending a direct message. So, just to show him, don't get involved in this match. But the match was intense. I was very surprised how this one turned out to be. I was like, wow. But in the end, it was a slam to the glass by Lyons to Grant that allowed him to win this match completely. Now our next match is the semifinal match is the H2O tag team titles in a double Texas bull rope match between Red Dead Redemption, consistent of Ryan Redfield and our current H2O heavyweight champion, one called Manders, taking on the champions Chris Bradley and Christian Ross. Now this is a very interesting matchup. Now you probably would have assumed that Bradley and Ross would have won, but however the ref did not see it. He was knocked unconscious. Manders applied a low blow onto, I believe he did that to Ross, but that gave the opportunity for them to pick up the win. 1, 2, 3. They become the new tag team champions. I'm sure a lot of fans are not appreciating what Manders did, but we'll see who's going to be the ones to try to dethrone them as soon as possible. Now our main event is the no ropes, barbed wires, 200 light tubes death match between the boss himself, Matt Tremont, and Sawyer Wreck. I thought this match was so intense, as always. This is more like one of those moments where we have the student versus the teacher, and I think in this case we normally would see the teacher win, but the student somehow always picks up the win by applying, not giving up, tried to prove the teacher wrong, and of course it was Sawyer Wreck with a choke slam that allowed her to pick up the win, and I think Matt Tremont loved that about her, that she never quit no matter what. So I thought it was a pretty good show. I enjoyed it. I loved H2O. Hopefully we'll see more of them. But right now let's move on to our next review, and I believe that is ICW No Holds Barred. Okay, ICW No Holds Barred with Pitfighter 14. This is the last show of 2022 as well. Luckily, I was able to see it. Now, to make this clear about this particular event, all the matches are steel cages. There is no ring ropes. Well, the bottom ring rope does exist, but however, the middle and the top ring ropes do not. So this is a unique match. So all matches do take place. I did mention earlier there was 2 title matches that were taking place. One which is the ICW American Deathmatch World Title, and the ETU Key in the West title. So let's get cracking with every match we have. Our first one, we have Akira versus Alec Price. I'm a big fan of Akira. He is really amazing, the Death Samurai. But Alec Price, I have to say, he really pulled up his own weight on this match. I don't know if he's ever been involved in death matches before, but he did pretty good job. But however, in the end, he ended up in the wrong side of the death penalty by Akira. 1, 2, 3, it was over. So I say I give Alec Price his prop. He is right now one of those wrestlers from the East Coast who is in fact one of the rising stars, and I think we can see a bright future with him. Next match, we have Chris Bradley versus Christian Ross. These guys have fought each other many times. They've been tag team before. I have to say this is one of those matches where like, okay, who's going to be the one walk on top? Earlier in some other point, we did see Chris Bradley has won over Ross. No, was it? Yeah. Won over Ross. But will Ross overcome it? The answer to that, it did not, because apparently Chris Bradley won by referee stoppage. So basically, that's how it is. I don't know how Ross feels about losing twice to Bradley, because sooner or later they might implode or something. I don't know. So we'll see. Now our next match, we have Hoodfoot versus Jimmy Lloyd. This was a pretty good match. Jimmy Lloyd, as you know, he doesn't like being messed with, and that's what makes him so unique. But in this case, it was the Suido suplex by Hoodfoot that allowed him to win the match. Now, our next match is one of the most craziest matches, but this one did not stick to plan. We have Casanova Valentine taking on Dr. Redacted. Now, the match started as always inside the steel cage, but instead of taking it in the steel, somehow this match went outside the ring. Both these individuals decided to get into the commentary booth. They were trying to tell him, hey, stay the hell away from us. Like, yeah, I don't know what's the deal. Casanova was making a message, but they should have just stayed out. But they managed to take the dang thing back, the match back into the ring. It took everything that Casanova in order to win the match, but it took only for him to put him through a door to knock him out and pick up the win. So, okay, that's pretty much it. Excuse me. Now, our next match, we have the ETU Key to the West title. We have the boss himself, Danny DeMonto, taking on the Russian Dynamite, Masha Slamovich. Now, keep in mind, Masha, she is not the one person you don't want to get involved with. You know what she is. Is going to kill you no matter what. Everybody knows it. Did Danny DeMonto do it? Nope. Not to mention, the one thing that was so funny is that Masha brought a knife, and DeMonto was trying to dodge her in every way possible, but he was able to get the knife off of her, but he did everything in his power to put her away, but it did not work. Luckily, it was Masha who picked up the win by referee stoppage, giving him the win, and I think in a way, Danny DeMonto needs to show respect to Masha Slamovich, knowing that she is one woman you don't want to mess with. Personally, I wouldn't mess with her. Now, our next match, we have the Duke of Hardcore. We're talking about John Wayne Murdoch taking on Slade, the Psychopath. Now, we all know John Wayne Murdoch. He's a complete a-hole, as you guys know. But he didn't seem like he wants to do this match, but he did it. But it took only a brain buster just to put him away. And as soon as he applied that, he skedaddled out of the steel cage, knowing that Slade is not going to take this too kindly of this match. Now, while everything was being set up in the match, all of a sudden, this guy who is a total Daddy Namanto kiss ass was attacked by a mysterious person. It turned out to be Acticus Koger, who has a deep grudge with Danny DeMonto, sending him a direct message that he's going to destroy everything he's ever loved, and include the people around him. And that's exactly what he did when he used the Scrooge onto this guy and sending a direct message. But by the time Danny DeMonto got there, Acticus Koger left, giving his direct message to DeMonto. So we don't know what is going to happen next after that. Now, our main event, we have the ICW American Deathmatch World Title. Our challenger is Matt Tremont taking on Brandon Kirk. Now, keep in mind, Brandon Kirk is also the H2O Danny Havoc champion. So he's a double champion in this. But I have to say, he did everything to put up. Now, Matt Tremont, he is a total veteran of the game in the deathmatch scene. And Brandon Kirk, he is rising up to the occasion. So it took another ref stoppage when he put Matt Tremont in his submission. The ref called the match off, and the winner became Brandon Kirk. But Tremont, he gave his due to Brandon Kirk, showing him that he has become the better man that he hoped for. So basically, I think Kurt really appreciate that out of him after all the things he went through to get this belt, and also try to get it away from his wife. Let's just hope this doesn't get it into his head. So I think that's pretty much it with ICW. I believe it's time for our final review, New Japan Strong, with week 2 of Nemesis. Okay, New Japan Strong with Nemesis. This is week 2. Now, as normally we see the opening where we see the commentators, both Alex Kozlov and Kevin Kelly, talk about the upcoming matches. They received a surprise visit from none other than the former New Japan Strong Openweight champion, Tom Lawler. As you know, he has his dealings with a particular wrestler, Homicide. Now, he appreciates the legacy that this man has put out, but he did not like the tactics that he's been throwing. If you guys know, this Homicide likes to bring in a fork and all kinds of things in order to pick up a win. But this time, he has something in store for him. Apparently, he's laid out a challenge against Homicide on February 18th a Battle at the Valley, and that is, of course, a no ropes, no rules match. So let's see if Homicide will accept it, and hopefully we will see that. Now, first thing first, our opening match, we have Chi Cabrera taking on Mascara Dorada. I thought this match was pretty good because it showed a little bit of the strength and agility of both competitors, you know, facing off. Now we see Chi Cabrera, he has the bit of the strength to do that, but he also tried to bring in a little bit of flavor of the Eddie Guerrero where he tried to apply a frog splash, but it did not work. But Mascara Dorada picked up a very good win when he applied a springboard elbow drop that allowed him to give up the win. Now, our next match is a trios match. Team number one, we got Bobby Fish teaming up with the members of Team Filthy. We're talking about Daddy Limelight and Tom Lawler. They take on Eddie Kingston and Homicide along with David Finlay. I thought this match was very impressive because it showed, like there's grudges with certain individuals. Like, for example, Kingston, he loves to fight, he loves to do all this. But in the end, in this particular match, it was David Finlay who picked up the win when he applied the Trash Panda onto Daniel Limelight to win. But however, Bobby Fish attacked him, who does not appreciate that. But David Finlay was not going to back down from a guy like him. And of course, they took the fight outside. While Kingston was outside, all of a sudden here comes Jay White, who decides to say that he is the king of all of that, of the king of wrestling in certain ways. But Kingston called him out saying, prove it. So he laid out the challenge on February 18th at Battle at the Valley in San Jose. So basically, Jay White will accept it because once again, he's going to prove why people breathe with the switchblade. So we'll see what happens then. Now, our main event, this is the Battle of the Haas. We have Bad Dude Tito versus Jeff Cobb. Now, Bad Dude Tito has been a very impressive wrestler, and he is the first and only non-Australian wrestler to join TMDK. He is still with the group, despite the fact that Jonah is no longer with the group. We're yet to see him join with his brethren, with, of course, Nichols and Haste, along with the new leader, Zack Sabre Jr., and, of course, the newest member, what's his name? Koze Fujita. So it was a pretty good match. There was a lot of strength and power between these two individuals. It was pretty good until finally it was Jeff Cobb with the Tour of the Islands that picked up the win. So I enjoyed this particular day. So we'll see what happens in week 3. I think that's pretty much it with New Japan Strong. I believe it's time for some news updates. Okay, welcome to our news updates. Now we continue with some things going on in WWE. As you'll know, you've been hearing that Cody Rhodes will be making his return. There's those that believe that he will enter the Royal Rumble and win and possibly challenge for one of the 2 belts that currently Roman Reigns has. The word is that they're going to try to split the belts once again. So they're ending the reign of Roman Reigns. How ironic to say it, but yeah. But he did state that he's going to have like a bit of a warm-up match to get him into like a tune-up. And he picked Carmelo Hayes and Joe Gacy. Now, these two are 2 of the top rising stars in the NXT brand. I have to say it's a good choice. We don't know when will that happen, but as soon as we get closer and closer, we will find out. Now, more on what's going on with WWE. As you know, there's been a lot of the whole Vince drama. Now, there's been reports saying that Hunter and Steph oppose the idea of the sale, but there's a lot of conflicting reports on this. I'm not sure if that is 100% true. We know that they're trying to keep this positive as possible because a lot of nervousness does come in with the talent. They're nervous about their positions, as not to mention those who lost their jobs thanks to Vince. But also there's something else. The creative team involved in the docuseries about Vince talked about how Vince has lost it after he saw the WWE's been succeeding without him. Now, the initial theory, certain people felt that, talking about this, they felt that Vince made a mistake leaving WWE when he was asked to retire. He said that it was a mistake. He should not have listened to them. But WWE has been doing so much better without them. Like, as an analogy, I would say this: like there was a dark cloud that left, but now the dark cloud is back, and I think that's why people are in nervousness. But we'll see. We'll find out more information what goes on. As you know, the sale is not finalized yet, but we'll see what happens. Now, Deadlock Pro Wrestling has announced for their upcoming event for next month in February. We have, you already know, there's going to be the Deadlock Pro Wrestling title on the line, but it's going to be a title versus career. It's going to be, of course, the champion Lucky Ali taking on Kobe Carino. Now, Kobe Carino has been indicating, saying that he has signed with WWE or something like that. We know that there's interest in him, so we'll see what happens then. Now, moving on, we have RevPro that announced for their upcoming event that will take place on the 28th of March. There's going to be a Rumble match, and the first entrance they announced is one half of the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions, Francesco Caro, will participate. Now, Japanese promotion GLEAT has announced that two events will take place later on this year. One in Corkin Hall on the 12th of April. No, the indication was the name of the title, but as soon as we get closer and closer, we will go to that. And then finally, their second year anniversary version 6 will take place on the 1st of July in the Tokyo Dome City Hall. So that one's been announced, but we don't know yet of the matches that will take place. We'll just wait and see. Now, a Spanish promotion, not Mexican promotion, Spanish promotion from Spain. RCW has announced that they will be having representatives coming from the Joshi promotion, Marvelous. They announced that Takumi Iroha will be at the event on the 18th of February. I think this is going to be great. We have seen many Japanese wrestlers made their way to RCW, like Miyu Mashita, Mayuhiki. I don't know if anybody else were involved, but looking forward to it. And then finally, our last thing I want to say, happy anniversary to Joshi wrestler Miyuki Takase, who celebrated her 6th year anniversary as a pro wrestler, but also as a 1 year being a freelance wrestler or something like that, what she's saying. 1 year free, so I'm saying maybe she's been a freelancer for almost a year. But it's great, so happy anniversary. Hope you guys, if you guys are big fans of her, make sure you tell her that on her Twitter page. And I think that's pretty much it. So let's just call it a day. Well, hope everybody enjoys this episode coming up. As you know, I did state it earlier. I still got some events from last month of December I haven't reviewed yet. I believe I have 2 more left, and then that'll be it. And I will continue focusing on the ones for the month of January. There's still some events I haven't seen yet, but I'm looking forward to get into those as soon as possible. Hope everybody enjoys, because as you know, I released 3 videos on YouTube. One is the last episode, 952, and then of course I did a very short episode with the Unagi Sayaka watch, and of course, hope you guys checked out the DWZ at the wrestling events, where I go on a road trip to LA to see AEW. That one took me a long while to get everything in place. I will release the ones from AEW Dark Elevation as a bonus. It will be part of the AEW, the DWZ at the wrestling events as a AEW Dark Elevation in LA. So I will put that as a bonus. So, and we'll see how that goes. So, we'll see how that plays out. So, hope everybody enjoys this episode. So I will see you guys on the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day.